Okay, so let's set up a basic lighting for this scene, and then we will continue to start adding more details. We will switch to the cycles render engine first, and we will start our preview viewport. We do not want any world lighting for this scene. Our main light source for this scene will be these lights, and we will use a emission shader for that. Let's split our viewport and we will change to a shader editor, and we will create a new material, name it emit 01. We will increase the emission strength and change the color to a reddish orange type color. Something like that for now. We will work on the color later. We can see that the light sources are lighting behind the scene, this area, but we do not need that. So we need to change the background surface to another material. To do that, we need to apply the solidifier modifier first. I will turn off the array modifier for now. We will create another material to the shader editor, and for now we will rename it something like light block. But we need to assign the material to this surface. So we will go to the face selection mode, press C, and I will select only the background surfaces. I will assign it to this surface, and now we can see that the lighting is not there and only the front side is lit by the emission shader. To recheck that, I pressed the Ctrl I button to invert the selection. And let's apply again the emission material to the front surfaces. Okay, so now we will activate our array modifiers again. We will add a volume shader to create the atomosphere. I will create a cube and scale it so that it covers the whole scene. Something like that. I will create another material and I will name it volume. We need to change the principled BSDF to the principled volume shader. I will attach it to the volume output node. And I will decrease the density to something like 0.005 or maybe 0.01. To better visibility, let's change the viewport display for this cube a wireframe. Let's add a little bit of emission to the volume. Okay. We will adjust our color management setting and we will use the AGX color and I will change to medium high contrast. I will adjust the curves a little bit. It's good for now and we will work more on it later. let's add some compositor nodes from the beginning so we can see a more complete look while we work. The first node I like to use always is the tune image. We need to activate the compositor on our viewport to see the result here. We can see that the clarity and sharpen effect on our viewport. If we press the M key and mute this node and unmute. The next node I would like to use is the glare node, but before that let's activate our denoiser. We will use the fog glow. The quality will be high. And we will decrease the strength a little bit. Then we will use the chromatic aberration node. It's always give a good result on this type of sci-fi scene. But we will use a very little bit. Now the last one is the vignette node. Okay, for now it's looks pretty good. We can always work later if we need. Let's go to our shader editor. Now let's add some more detail on our right side columns. They look very flat. I will decrease the subdivision level a little bit, and we need to apply this modifier so that we can work more on it. I will deactivate our array modifiers for now. I will also apply this array modifier so we can add some more randomized effects on these two columns, and then later we will array these two columns. I will select some random faces. Okay. I will simply insert these faces a little bit. And I will increase the selection by pressing the Ctrl and plus button. Then I will deselect these inner faces. Now I will use the extrude key, extrude along normals, to create some groups. Something like that should look good. We can see the shader is not looking good and it's for the normals. To fix that, I will add a bevel modifier. We will use a very small amount. And on the shading options, I will activate the harden normals, and that's fixed it. Okay, so let's activate the arrays now. Yeah, some little bit of details on the columns. Let's add a little bit of detail more. From the edge selection mode, I will select these edges and we will bevel these edges a little bit. And again, we will use the extrude along normals to create the grooves. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now I want to add some more details on the ceiling. And the plan is some cylindrical shapes will hang from the roof. Let's add a cylinder for that. I will increase the radius and we will use 24 vertices. We will use loop cuts. Let's use 16 loop cuts. we selected all the faces here. And we will use extrude individual to extrude these faces. Let's extrude again, but this time a little bit, maybe half of it. And we will change our pivot point to individual origins. Then I will scale these faces. But I think we should extrude these faces a little bit more. So let's undo the commands. Not that much. And we will use 0.5 also here. Individual origins, and we will scale these faces. Point 0.65. 0.5. We will insert all the faces again. And then we will extrude again inside all the faces. Something like that should look good. Here is our object. I will add a bevel modifier here. Now I will insert this face again. And extrude it inside. So this is our basic shape. It's not that complex. We will use the array command to create multiple copies. And we will increase the number. We will add lighting inside our cylinders. Let's create another new material and I will rename it emit 02. It's too much. And we can see that the whole cylinder has gotten this material, but we do not need that. So create another material. We will invert the selection and I will assign this material for now. Okay, so I think our basic lighting setup and the models are coming along nicely. We will continue to add textures to the scene and I think that will look much better. Let's start texturing our scene. We will use these two concrete textures and these are from ambientcg.com. These are CCO textures, so completely free and you can download it. I have already downloaded these two textures. For our main column and these light elements, let's create a new material and I will rename it to concrete 01. We are using the node wrangler add-ons and by pressing Ctrl Shift plus T we can directly input our texture nodes into the shader. This is the texture 42A, this material. I am selecting these three textures, the color, the normal and the roughness, and we will click on the principled texture setup and we can see that all three textures are added to the shader automatically and everything is connected. The mapping node, the normal node, everything is set up automatically. If you do not have the node wrangler add-on activated, please activate it from the preference menu. On the material preview viewport, we can see that we need to UV unwrap these objects and we will use another add-on. that is the magic UV add-on. It will make it very much easier to texture and unwrap these objects. So the process is, into the edit mode, we will go to the edit option, UV unwrap and box select. We can see that everything is UV unwrapped instantly. I will increase the size to 5. For these columns, we will use this same material. So we will select our columns first and then shift select these objects, and we will press Ctrl plus L. From this menu, we will click the link material, and we have this material set up on this object. We need to UV unwrap them as well. So from the edit menu, again we press everything by A, and from this edit option we will click the box button, and we can see that these are UV unwrapped. So this is very much quick and easy. We will use the other concrete texture on the floor. We will create another material and we will rename it Concrete 02. Again, we will press Ctrl Shift plus T, and I have downloaded the texture. From there, I will select these 3 textures, the color, the normal and the roughness, and we will press the principal texture setup, and we can see that our texture is already set up to UV unwrapped. We will apply the same process, but for the size of the scale we will put 1 here, and we can see that the scale is huge. We have to always consider that, and we have to always check that if our scale is applied or not, because if the scale is not applied, the texture coordinate or texture scale will not work accurately. Let's see how it looks on the render view. So looking not bad, but I think we need to increase the darkness or the lightness of the texture. It looks a bit darker to me. But first, let's introduce some environmental lighting. As you can remember that we have made our environment or the world light completely black here. So we will put the strength to 1 and we will introduce some color here. And let's give it a light blue color. Something like that. I will increase the value by adding a hue saturation value node and put the value 2 here. For the flooring, we will make it a bit reflective or glossy. So we can do that by putting a color ramp node in between the roughness texture, and if we slide this black color on the right side, we should see some reflection on our floor. Let's make the white value to a little bit grayish tone, and this will introduce a overall reflection on this material. I think something like that is looking good. Okay, for our cylindrical shapes on the center, we will use the same material on the columns. So we need to select it first, and then we will select this one object, and we will press Ctrl L and link material. We can see that we need to if we unwrap these objects as well. So we will go to the edit menu, select everything by pressing A, and then we will select or click on the box button. Okay, so we can see that we have changed the light material to the concrete, but we do not want that. So we will undo this process pressing the Ctrl Z button, and it's fixed now. We need to change the second slot on this material editor, and to do it easily, we will select this material, and from this drop down menu we will select the concrete 01, and now we can see our concrete material has applied on this object. I will now go to the edit menu, select everything, and click on the box button, and everything is UV unwrapped. Okay, so the lighting looks a bit darker now. We will increase the emission value, and we will create these lights on the center a little bit bluish color. So we can see that we have textured everything very quickly. Let's see how it's look in our render. I will decrease the maximum sample values to 512. From the performance tab, I will decrease the dial size to 512, and we will activate the persistent data because we want to animate the scene. And let's create a draft render. So here is our preview render, and it's looking not bad. So on the next part, we will start animating the scene, and we will try to complete it by animating the camera. We will introduce some camera movement and some animations to our objects. So thanks for watching.